What if I told you that sometimes true heroes don't wear uniforms, don't carry weapons, but have four paws and a heart that sees beyond what human eyes can see? Would you believe that a simple dog could be the key to revealing a truth hidden within a seemingly peaceful home? Because what you're about to discover may surprise you. Imagine a serene neighborhood where mornings are usually marked by birdsong and the sounds of children playing. Everything seemed normal until small signs began to raise awareness. Strange footprints appearing in the yard, discreet noises in the middle of the night, and that nagging feeling that something was off. Have you ever been there feeling something wrong but not knowing exactly what? Amidst this atmosphere of mystery, the figure of a dog appears, seemingly ordinary to many, but to his family, a loyal and attentive companion. He didn't bark at random, didn't react without reason, but suddenly his behavior began to change. His gaze fixed in one direction, his fur standing on end, his insistent barking always directed at the same spot in the yard, as if he were trying to warn, "Pay attention, something's happening here." This loyalty and protective instinct, so natural in dogs, would become the centerpiece of a revelation no one could have imagined. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense. The footprints in the yard, which at first seemed like ordinary marks, now took on a new meaning. The dog kept prowling the space, sniffing every corner, as if he were putting together a puzzle invisible to humans. Can you feel the tension? The owners' hearts were beating faster because deep down, we all know, when a dog insists on showing us something, it's because there is, indeed, a hidden truth, and it wasn't just his behavior that caught our attention. There was something in the animal's eyes that seemed to speak louder than any words. A look that said, "I know what you don't know. I see what you don't see." It's impressive how nature gave dogs this sixth sense, this ability to identify danger long before we did. Perhaps this is what makes them not just pets, but true guardians of our homes and our lives. And it's at this point in the story that curiosity begins to grow even more. What was the dog trying to convey? Who had left those mysterious marks in the yard? And how far would this loyalty go to protect his family? Stay with me until the end, because what happened next left even the police shocked. A situation that began with simple signs turned into a remarkable episode, one that makes us rethink the relationship between animal instinct and the divine protection that often comes through them. The atmosphere was no longer the same. The once quiet neighborhood now carried a sense of alert, and inside the house, every detail seemed to take on greater weight. The rustle of a dry leaf, a creak at the gate, the dog's nose always pointing in the same direction. It was as if all the elements were coming together for a grand revelation. And you'll see how, in moments like these, trusting a dog's instincts can be the thin line between safety and danger. Now take a deep breath, because we're just beginning this story. What this dog revealed that night will show once again that when it comes to loyalty and courage, they are capable of feats that defy any logical explanation. And it's precisely at this point that the story gains momentum, because the next step will bring you face to face with the discovery that changed everything. And given all this, it's impossible not to wonder, how many times have our own animals tried to show us something that we simply ignored? Perhaps you've experienced a similar situation, where your dog became restless, barked at a corner of the house, or seemed to see things you couldn't. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most so far in this story, because your experience can inspire and strengthen others who also love and trust in animal instincts. And since we're living this moving story together, I want to ask you for something very simple. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. It may seem like a small gesture, but it's precisely this that makes this channel grow and reach more people with real stories of courage, loyalty, and overcoming. Your participation here is what allows us to continue bringing content that touches our hearts and reminds us of the strength of the bond between humans and dogs. When you comment, like, and subscribe, you're not only supporting this work, but also becoming part of this community that believes animals have much to teach us. And I'm sure what we'll reveal in this story will captivate you even more, because the next detail will show just how far a dog's instinct can go. The owners began to notice something was out of the ordinary. The dog, whose usual behavior was predictable, suddenly seemed to be on constant alert. He wasn't running around the yard as usual, nor was he resting in his favorite spots. His eyes remained fixed on a specific point, as if he was seeing beyond the walls, beyond what anyone could see. He barked in short bursts, always facing the same direction, and when anyone tried to pull him away, he resisted, pulling his body back, almost as if to say, "It's not over yet, something is still here." This behavior began to create discomfort. After all, it wasn't just a bark from someone listening to the mailman or reacting to a common street noise. It was an insistent, repeated warning, charged with an energy that conveyed urgency. The owners, however much they tried to ignore it, began to feel that silent shiver that arises when we realize there's a hidden truth before us, but we can't name it. This sensation, combined with the dog's penetrating gaze, created a tense atmosphere in the air, and it's interesting to consider how animal instinct connects with something we often forget: perception beyond the obvious. While we're immersed in our routines, distracted by daily responsibilities and worries, dogs remain alert, picking up on signals that go unnoticed. The impact of this contrast is profound, because it reminds us that in critical moments, what seems like a mere detail can change the course of an entire journey. In that yard, the dog's every gesture began to become a symbolic warning. His bark, which might have been annoying in any other context, now sounded like a cry for protection. His fixed gaze, which could have been interpreted as stubbornness, became a guide. Even his silence at times seemed to carry hidden messages. There was something in his insistence that could not be ignored, as if the animal were willing to do anything to reveal a hidden truth that needed to come to light. The owners began to question themselves. What exactly is he seeing? Why is he so insistent on this point? Is it just his imagination? Or is there a real and dangerous reason behind this behavior? And little by little, their mindset began to transform. What had previously been skepticism gave way to concern. What seemed like an exaggeration began to be seen as a real warning sign. This process shows how often we need to open our eyes to signs that were right there in front of us all along. But that only makes sense when someone, or in this case, a dog, insists in showing them to us. It's impossible not to think about how important decisions in our lives often arise from this same process. Small details, subtle annoyances, intuitions that seem inexplicable. How often do we ignore these signs? How often do we prefer to believe it's nothing more than coincidence, when in fact there's something bigger trying to guide us? Just like this dog, who remained faithful to his mission to protect, life also presents us with moments when we must decide, do we ignore the discomfort or follow our instincts? This loyalty, this almost unwavering insistence, was what kept the family on alert. They could no longer pretend nothing was happening. The dog had become a kind of silent guardian, unable to speak, but able to clearly convey that danger was lurking. This is the kind of revelation that transforms not just an isolated situation, but the entire way we view the relationship between humans and animals. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because what was about to happen wasn't just the confirmation of strange behavior, but the revelation of something that would test everyone. The tension in the yard was rising by the minute, and that dog's loyalty was about to show its true strength. What seemed like mere animal stubbornness would actually turn into one of the most impactful moments of the story, revealing behind-the-scenes details no one could have imagined. And before we continue, I want to leave you with a simple invitation. Comment below, "This makes sense to me," because perhaps you too have felt that small signs carry much bigger messages than we can understand at first glance. The mood inside the house was already tense, but everything changed when the dog took the lead and began guiding his owners as if he knew exactly where to go. He walked steadily, then stopped suddenly and looked back, making sure they were following his lead. There was something impressive about this behavior, as if in that instant he ceased to be just a pet and assumed the role of guardian, leading everyone on a journey of revelations no one could have foreseen. The family's hearts beat faster. Every noise in the room seemed to carry an even greater weight. Even the air felt different, denser, as if the decisive moment was about to happen. The dog stopped in front of a side door, one rarely used, almost forgotten by the residents. He began scratching at the wood, barking insistently, never taking his eyes off the specific spot where he focused all his attention. It was impossible to ignore. With each bark, the owners glanced at each other, torn between fear and the need to uncover the hidden truth behind the behavior. The silence between them said more than any words. There was something hidden there, something that needed to be revealed. The father of the family approached cautiously. His hands trembled, not only from fear of what he might find, but also from the force of the scene. It was as if he were facing an invisible limit, a watershed in his own mentality. He slowly turned the doorknob, and the metallic sound echoed in the silent room, increasing the tension. At that moment the dog stepped forward, body rigid, fur bristling, showing he was ready for any confrontation. This wasn't just instinct. It was pure courage, the truest expression of fidelity in action. When the door opened, darkness filled the room for a few seconds. A strange, heavy scent invaded the space. The dog entered first, sniffing every corner, and within moments he stopped in front of a cabinet against the wall. His gaze was unwavering, fixed, as if to say, "This is it." The owners, still in shock, approached slowly. The silence was now absolute. Only the sound of everyone's heavy breathing and the dog's muffled barking filled the room. With a mixture of fear and determination, they moved the cabinet a few inches, and then the unimaginable happened. A cornered intruder was hiding inside, trying to shrink as if he could disappear before the presence of the animal that had unmasked his attempt to hide. The impact of the scene was immediate. The dog barked loudly, but without attacking, as if knowing its role was not to destroy, but to expose the truth. The family recoiled in shock, their eyes wide in disbelief. That moment carried an enormous emotional charge. On one hand, fear of the real threat. On the other, gratitude for the animal who, with its insistence, revealed what could have turned into a silent tragedy. It was as if time had stopped. Everyone's mind was immersed in what-if thoughts. What if we hadn't paid attention to the signs? What if we had ignored this unusual behavior? The transformation in how we viewed the dog's role within that home was inevitable. He wasn't just a companion. He was a true guardian. This scene brings up a powerful reflection on decisions and impact. How many times in life do we ignore the signs that are right in front of us, simply because they don't fit with logic or seem exaggerated? This family, by deciding to trust the animal's instinct, had their story marked forever. And it is precisely this ability to perceive the invisible that transforms not only critical moments, but an entire journey. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because this wasn't just an unexpected incident. What happened next showed how a dog's loyalty can reveal not only hidden dangers, but also lessons that forever change the way we view courage, protection, and even the choices we make in the face of the unknown. And perhaps that's why this story resonates so powerfully, because it reminds us that often the truth lies behind the scenes, waiting just for the right moment to reveal itself. Right there. I'm on this journey too, because this scene is not just about a discovered intruder, but about the way we see the signs that change the course of our story. The family was already in shock, but it was when the police arrived that the full extent of the situation began to unfold. The officers entered the house cautiously, flashlights in hand, accustomed to dealing with unexpected occurrences, but still suspicious of the story they'd heard. It was the dog who showed them where the intruder was. At first, there was some skepticism, as if it were merely a coincidence. However, as soon as they followed the animal, the atmosphere changed completely. The dog, still alert, accurately indicated the location where the intruder had tried to hide. The police officers, experienced in countless dangerous situations, were stunned by the scene before their eyes. They knew dogs have a keen sense of smell and instinctive reactions, but witnessing an animal pinpointing someone's hiding place inside a house with such precision was something out of the ordinary. The impact was immediate. The tension already lingering in the room was now confirmed by professionals accustomed to dealing with secrets hidden behind the scenes of criminal activity. The dog didn't just react to a smell or a noise. He led everyone to the hidden truth, like a silent investigator, revealing what no one else dared to face. The intruder was removed from hiding, and the officers, between protocols and rapid-fire questions, couldn't help but comment among themselves on the animal's courage. One of them even said seriously, if it weren't for that dog, this story could have ended completely differently. This remark resonated in the family's minds, making it clear that this wasn't just an exaggeration by doting owners. It was the recognition of an authority figure, someone who deals with risky situations every day, stating that something extraordinary had happened, and it's interesting to observe how mindsets change when professionals confirm what the heart already knew. The family, who had previously harbored doubts about whether they were overreacting by listening to the dog's behavior, now had the police's confirmation. His persistence had saved the day. This recognition brought a silent transformation, a sense of security that surpassed any logical explanation. Because deep down, it wasn't just about a captured intruder, but about the revelation that the bond between humans and dogs can be even deeper than we imagine. As the officers recorded the details and prepared to remove the suspect, the dog remained steadfast, attentive to every movement, as if his mission was not yet over. There was no fear in his eyes, only the certainty that he had fulfilled his role. It was as if he carried within him the conviction that protecting his family was his reason for being. This scene left everyone silent for a few seconds, absorbing the weight of what they had just experienced. The truth had been exposed, and this was thanks to the loyalty of an animal who, amidst darkness and risk, did not hesitate to show the way. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because what struck me that night wasn't just the arrest of an intruder, but the revelation of something greater, the courage born of loyalty, the way simple decisions, like whether or not to trust a dog's instincts, can change the fate of an entire family. This is the kind of impact that transcends the isolated episode and makes us reflect on protection, trust, and the unexpected lessons we find behind the scenes in life. Comment there. That makes sense to me, because stories like this aren't just about danger and discovery, but also about transformation and the invisible power that guides us in the most critical moments. The scene that night was marked not only by the capture of an intruder, but mainly by the silent lesson a dog managed to teach without needing words. He showed, with every attentive look and every firm bark, that loyalty cannot be explained, it must be proven, and that, behind seemingly simple gestures, lies a force capable of transforming the course of an entire story. What to many might have seemed merely animal instinct revealed itself as a conscious act of protection, a call to courage that resonated within the family and even among the professionals who witnessed the situation. The mental transformation this episode provoked was inevitable. The owners would never look at their four-legged companion the same way again. It's curious to see how dogs can access layers that we humans often overlook. While we're busy with our daily decisions, caught up in our own worries, they remain silent, alert, ready to act when the moment demands it. This difference in mindset invites us to reflect. How often do we ignore signs of danger or even opportunity that were right in front of us? That family's dog not only protected us, he revealed a hidden truth, unmasked a dangerous presence, and, at the same time, taught a powerful lesson about trust and intuition. This kind of journey is a powerful reminder that heroes don't just appear in great stories, but also in the background of ordinary life. A bark that seemed too insistent, a refusal to leave a specific spot, a look filled with something we can't explain. These are all clues to an instinct that never fails. Dogs aren't distracted by appearances. They capture the essence, and that's why, so often, they end up saving lives and protecting families without even expecting recognition. This loyalty forces us to reevaluate our own choices. Because deep down, it's not just about whether or not to trust an animal, but about learning to value what seems small. The dog's courage showed that protection can manifest itself in unexpected ways, and that even in times of uncertainty, there is always an ally by our side. The impact of this bond goes beyond the visible. It transforms the way we view loyalty, security, and even love. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because the true lesson lies not only in the fact that a dog saved his family, but in the revelation of how much this bond between humans and animals can shape destinies. It's not just about safety, it's about transformation. It's about understanding that their loyalty awakens in us a new way of looking at life, at our own decisions, and at the signs we often choose to ignore. Have you ever experienced or heard of a story where a dog was a true hero? Comment below about your experience, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next exciting stories. If you've made it this far with me, it's because this story spoke to your heart in some way. And that's why I want to invite you to continue this journey with me. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories. Each video I bring here is designed to spark reflection, inspiration, and that feeling of connection we've experienced just now. Also, leave a like, because it shows that this content resonated and helps me bring you more stories like this. And to let me know you truly stuck it out, comment, "I'm with you until the end." It'll be incredible to see who's walked this far with you. And look, it doesn't stop there. There's a video right here that expands on this topic, and I'm sure you'll be moved too. Click and stay with me there.